Hey guys, thanks again for watching. We're in the third video of, do I need an exit strategy? And of course, first we talked about what is it? And the second piece, of course, is, which one? And now we're going to talk about how and when. And I think it's a really important piece because, it varies completely. Now, I will tell you, and a lot of you guys have heard about this, you've all heard about a double escrow. Hopefully a lot of you haven't. If you haven't, all it means is that you tie up a piece of property and you sell it at the same time. So you tie it up and then you find a buyer. So you take a profit in the middle, and it's done all the time. Okay, now that's what I would consider to be a very short exit strategy, but it's an exit strategy. And it's a great example, I think, because it's done with land all the time. So for example, you could take a piece of land and buy it, just like I did in my billboard story, okay? Tie up that piece of land. Now, my exit strategy took a little bit longer because I had to find a home builder that wanted 3 buildable lots, okay? So it took a little bit longer. But what I could have done is I could have put that property in escrow and found that home builder while I had it in escrow, and I could have actually sold it to him for the same price, 10 grand higher, or even the same price, because all I really wanted was a billboard. And I could have been in and out of that deal without actually even owning it for more than just a few minutes. Because I essentially took control of the property from the seller, and then I found a buyer. And so that's all we're talking about with the exit strategy. That's all. It's important for you to understand the when and how to execute that. And so that's the simplest example that I can give you. But every single property is going to be very, very, very different. So in the example of a ground up construction deal, and you're getting people's money and you're building it, it might take you 6 months, it might take you 2 years, it might take you longer. Okay, so whatever equity you have inside of there, it's going to take longer to harvest out. And by the way, there's more risk. And so that's one thing. The other thing that we haven't really talked a lot about, what I consider to be probably one of the bigger things that a lot of people don't talk about in exit strategies, and that is tax. I've talked a little bit about flipping, and I'm not bashing flippers, but I'm here to let you know that as you flip, you pay tax. So you're paying commissions when you buy something, you're usually paying commissions when you sell something, and then you pay tax on that gain. And so hopefully there is a gain. And so tax is a big consideration for when and how. And so there's all kinds of things that you can do. The biggest thing in the United States is called a 1031 tax deferred exchange. So if you don't know what it is, just look it up. It's called a 1031 tax deferred exchange. And so what you can do is you can take, for example, I could take that billboard deal of mine, the $300,000, and I could stick it into an exchange, which is an actual account that's sitting with someone else. So I can't touch the profit, can't touch the money, and then I can roll that money into the next investment with no tax. So I could do this entire billboard deal in video 1 with no tax legally. Now, in some cases, you're going to want to pay the tax and keep moving it. It's a very important piece that you understand the difference between what it is to save and what it is to invest, because they're very different. One, the saving, of course, is a fairly lazy strategy, and the investment is not. So I've seen people make all kinds of money and then retire and then freak out and have anxiety and stress around how to manage that till, how long am I going to live? What a terrible thing to have to go through, honestly, if you think about it. It's not understand at 60, 70 years old how to manage money. And so these are strategies that are available legally out there for you. If you start to understand this stuff and you start to manage your own money, and you can do it through single family homes, you can do it through customs, you can do it through condos, you can do it through mobile homes, through industrial, through commercial, through multifamily. It doesn't really matter. You can even do it through businesses. I've had friends start businesses. I have a friend right now who started a business 3 years ago. Then they listed the business, and it's now in escrow for full price. So the business is only 3 years old, and they're making well into the six figures on a business that didn't exist before. So this is a way to manage your money. And then in that particular example, there was very little money used. It was basically on a credit card to start it up. So these exit strategies are important. I have another friend that started a big franchise here in Scottsdale. And he grew it to like 1,500 stores. And then he exited through a big Wall Street payoff. And so there's lots of things that you can do here. And the main thing that I would encourage you guys to do is and we talked about when and how, I think the most important thing is that you need to identify the exit strategy before you buy. And so what we do here at MC Companies is we do a business plan. So I'll give you some great examples. I gave you one great example about the billboard. I didn't actually need to do a business plan on that because it's so simple. But some of these are not simple. And so for a ground-up construction deal, it takes a year to build it. It takes a year to lease it up. And then it takes a year to stabilize it, let's say. And so like a 200 or 300 unit property. So our business plan might say when we stabilize, we're going to put new debt on it or new mortgage on it or go to somebody else now that's stabilized. And that business plan will spell that out. In the third year, we're going to go to a bank and we're going to put a new stabilized loan on there. And that will be our exit plan. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to sell the property. It means that we're exiting our initial investment. So what we're trying to do with that new loan is take that money back out so that we have it again. So when we're building something, my head is, okay, at the end of the third year, possibly the fourth year, I'm going to have all this money back. What am I going to do with that? So it's a very, very cool way to think about it, is how do I get all my money back, or at least a big chunk of it, and then reinvest it. What we've built our company on, however, is what we call value add real estate. So we take a property, we pour a bunch of money into it on the inside and on the outside, and we raise the rents and we grow the net operating income. And you guys know we've talked a lot about this. And then we harvest that back with a new loan, and we take that money back out. And again, we have the same issue. It's a velocity issue. So as you're investing, and as we close here, the most important thing on the when and how is what's the asset type like, and what is the business plan around it? Because like I showed you in the beginning, it could be a double escrow. It might be literally just a few minutes that you own the property and you take your profit, because you match a seller and the buyer together and you're the middleman. That could be one. The billboard took me about a year. A multifamily ground-up construction might take 3 years. A value add might take 2. So everything, depending on the size and what it is going to take whatever it takes. In the business example, it took 3 years, because you're out fighting, you're getting new clients, and then you kind of stabilize your company and all your employees, and then you start to get reoccurring contracts and all those kinds of things, and now it's stable again. And so that's when my friend listed their company, and like I said, it was an escrow for full price. That's the business plan. It was always designed to exit. And so now this person is looking for the next thing. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And so my partner Ross and I, all we do as we start to move this money around on our apartment buildings is try to figure out what are we going to do next. So when we're breaking ground and building a property, we know we're going to get most of the equity back in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so we're always thinking forward. What are we going to do with that? What are we going to do with that? Okay? And that's when it starts to get fun, and that's the velocity of money. And if you can return people's money, in this example that I explained, with no tax, and a refinance is no tax, by the way, because you owe money, you owe that back. It's a loan. So it's like a refinance on a house or a second. A lot of people get seconds on their homes and then they go buy a boat or a new car or something. Well, those are declining assets. We invested in properties that appreciate, and we do it again. So I would use money as I would use a second on your home and invest in something that is an asset and grows, as opposed to something that doesn't and turns into more of a liability than anything else. And that's actually being fiscally responsible. And so then what happens is, as you start to learn these things, you start to get more confidence. And when you get more confidence, then you start to learn more and you understand. And you can ask better questions. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't invest your money with other people or investment bankers or financial planners or anything like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you need to understand this and understand what they're doing. If they're just taking a commission and hoping that the market, the timing and something goes up over the long term, then that's not really a strategy at all. And there really is no exit strategy for you. So I'm saying for you to take control of your own money and understand how it all works and get involved at this level, and then you'll be a lot happier. And by the time you hit retirement, or not necessarily even have to wait that long, your anxiety and your stress and everything is going to go way down, because you're going to be able to ask better questions and you're going to have a better financial future. So I hope you enjoyed this video on this exit strategies, on how to mitigate tax and how to put a business plan around your own money and ask better questions. So again, thank you very much for watching.